Hello, guys. I am Shane Davis, 20-year comic book veteran. I'm here with you with some big news coming out of New York Comic Con. And I think this might be some of the biggest news of the year in comics for a couple of reasons. And not because I'm a great big old ThunderCats fan. ThunderCats, how? But simply because what this means about DC Comics as a publisher. Now, you first have to understand DC Comics' purpose when you're owned by a mega corporation of a bunch of IP. A lot of talk out there starting to come about that Discovery's is looking to sell off to Universal, stuff like that. They can't get these superheroes to sell. And at the same time, a little bit of news over here. Dynamite is going to be publishing ThunderCats, the Flintstones, Powerpuff Girls, Space Ghost, Johnny Quest, The Wizard of Oz, We Bare Bears. And somebody's going to say, but Shane, why does this got to do with DC Comics? Well, hang on a second. You just hang on a second. For people who don't know, when Warner Brothers was just Warner Brothers, that meant that they owned the Cartoon Network. And because of Cartoon Network, anything Cartoon Network owned, and because it's all one big company, DC Comics would and used to, about 10, 15, 20 years ago, publish these cartoon books. They would do Looney Tunes books. They would do Powerpuff Girl books. They would do Space Ghost books every now and then. Even had some awesome Alex Ross covers on them. I think they even did Johnny Quest. And I even worked with some of the Hanna-Barbera stuff, crossing over with Superman, Top Cat Superman, anyone? With Dan DiDio. But here's the thing. Why is this now not going to be published through DC Comics? And people are going to say, well, you know, it's not in their wheelhouse, Shane. Well, this doesn't really mean anything, that Dynamite is getting the ability to print these things. Dynamite recently doing a Gargoyles comic by Disney, Shane. This means nothing. Absolutely not. This means everything. This absolutely means everything. And I'm going to tell you why. DC Comics should be publishing this stuff because it's an asset. Because this is saying that whoever this is, there's only two conclusions to this. The one, don't trust the powers that be at DC Comics to make these properties into a comic. And comics are, for mega corporations, a cheap and easy way to renew copyright, trademark, and basically the whole IP, and maybe even generate some merch out of it by throwing a few $1,000s down the comic book hole. The other thing is, maybe one, they don't trust DC Comics to actually handle these properties, but two, maybe this is a test run. Maybe this is a test run for somebody to shepherd publishing DC Comics during maybe a messy transaction. Maybe it makes more sense to license out DC Comics to somebody else, another comic book publisher, Dynamite in this situation, rather than actually hire staffers. Like, what would you do if DC Comics publishing had gotten so entrenched in SJW editors and SJW talent and all of this? And if you try to get rid of these people, if you try to get rid of this psychology, this mentality of making entertainment that's propaganda driven, you're called a racist or phobic or something like that. It's like, that's messy, right? That's a lot of work to pull up all those weeds, because you pull up one weed, two's going to grow back in its place. And you're the bigoted farmer getting rid of the weeds that are killing your garden. But what if you just say, hey, neighbor, I'm bad at gardening over here. Would you grow this crop for me? Will you, how about I pay you a little bit of money, and you got the extra land over there, and you know, you're not doing anything with it. What if I just paid you some money to grow me some beans? And I feel like this is kind of that situation. Now, at first glance, this is to the average person on the street. They don't see this as like got anything to do with DC Comics. ThunderCats got nothing to do with DC Comics. The Flintstones have nothing to do with DC Comics. The Powerpuff Girls, Space Ghost, Johnny Quest, The Wizard of Oz, Shane, We Bare Bears. Are you crazy? What's that got to do with Batman? Absolutely nothing, except they're owned by the same company. The other thing that's very alarming in this is some of these properties, you could argue the ThunderCats and Space Ghost and Johnny Quest kind of have this angle of a certain age demographic, a certain retro fan, or you could imagine a comic book. A We Bare Bears comic, not so much. The Wizard of Oz, really not getting comic book vibes from that. The fact all of this is a bunch of properties that Warner Brothers would like to do something with. And again, I mind you, I worked on a similar project at DC Comics, trying to rejuvenate some of these Hanna-Barbera obscure characters when they were trying to sell off. I really think part of the sell-off is the idea that maybe comics in this state they're in this form they are in, when Jim Hanley's universe is closing down, all comics have to go, even if we throw them in a dumpster. Maybe it makes more sense to license comic books out. Think about that. Maybe it's easier to fire everybody because we're just going to license it out. We're not phobic. We're just not making comics anymore. We're actually just going to pay our neighbor to make comics for us because why get your hands dirty plucking weeds? Why do that? And this is what I actually think is happening here. I think this is a test run. And I think this is a nice way to not alert people that the building's on fire. Although everybody knows it is. Everybody hears the fire alarms. Everybody sees smoke. But yet there's no fire, according to Heidi McDonald. SJWs didn't kill your comic book store. You're not going out of business because of woke comics. But yet people are exiting the building single file right now. This is the guys that get to the door first, right? This is the guys that maybe even they know there's a fire. They're not going to tell everybody else until they're right at the door and they're 1 foot out the door, the emergency exit. And this is a sad, sad state. A lot of people are going to say you're wrong on this, but I think in time I will be proven right. And you guys go check out Dynamite for new ThunderCats, it looks like. If you guys will, please hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notification. Also, Axcend hit $100,000, $639. You guys can go still check this campaign out if you want. Many thanks to another six-figure campaign from 9 Lives Comics.
I dream of a world carefully crafted, beautifully flawed. This is Axcend. In this game of life, there is one thing that determines a victor. A player's ability to grow. A player's ability to evolve. A player's ability to survive. My name is Dog. Choose to play. Choose to upgrade. Choose to level up. Choose to Axcend.